3 ancient weapons: Poseidon, Pluton, and Uranus. 3 planets: Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. 5 Gorosei, 5 elder stars, or as artists claiming them be, 5 elder gods, assumingly Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, and recently revealed St. J. Garcia Saturn. That is 8 celestial bodies, ladies and gentlemen. Saddle up. 8 is the number of small dots represented on the Kozuki clan main crest in the center of the crane. A similar symbol is found on the main sail of the Alabasta's party ship in chapter 823 when they're going to the reverie. Even the citizens of Alabasta are waving flags with a similar symbol on these flags as they wave that party goodbye. But unfortunately, of course, they heard the news that Cobra is now dead, passed away, and he was very hell-bent on asking the Gorosei some pretty tough TUFF questions pertaining to a lot of deep lore stuff. And he just so happened to rep that symbol on his sail when he was heading out to sea to the reverie.
Really makes you think.
8 is also the number of small dots shown on the giant shields when Luffy and company are entering Upper Yard in chapter 245 for the first time. The land of Kami, the land of God. 8 is even the number of main oceans that exist in the world of One Piece. East Blue, West Blue, North Blue, South Blue, Grand Line cut up into 2, so it's the Grand Line and New World. Then you have 2 calm belts, a North calm belt and a South calm belt. And of course, it's been 800 years since the Void Century ended. People, the One Piece universe is an amazing place.
Correct, sir.
You gotta take a quick second to really appreciate the majesty of Oda's world. He is so well designed in such a grand scale, and it's so mystifying that what we just went through about the number 8 could mean nothing at all, but at the same time, it could literally, unironically mean the world. And you love to see it. The individual best-selling author for any comic of all time. And he still has at least 8 more years left. You see what I did there? But we're not done yet, though, with the number 8. Because as some of the Skypean fanboys and fangirls might have noticed, right here on Wiper's arm, there is a wheel-like symbol that seemingly represents the sun, and it has 8 lines converging at the center. Wiper, who promised to never let the light of Shandora be extinguished, is currently one of God's guards. Now, of course, in this case, God meaning Gonfall, the god of Skypiea, not the one down below. And of course, I'm talking about Monsieur Imu.
This world shall know pain.
Where Monsieur Imu has his, quote, guards, arguably not, let's say, in just the way of the admirals and also CP0, but arguably the Gorosei, the 5 elder stars. And of course, one of the key ideals surrounding Imu is that major name flip, where you take Imu, flip it around, and you get Umi, meaning, of course, sea, but also meaning mother. For the 10 Justice League movie fans out there, and the 5 Steppenwolf fans, if you guys exist,
I know, mother.
Mother is somewhat important here, you can argue. Because as what Greenbull said in chapter 1054, he himself is a woodsman with the power of the woods fruit. The forest is just as much the cradle of life as the sea. So a common theory about Imu is that Imu has the ability to control, let's say, all of the ocean water. And no one so far has shown the power to directly control the sea itself. Imu could be the sea itself, therefore they have sovereignty over the sea. However, going deeper, more thematically, you can even argue that since the sea is the cradle of life, Imu by default would have control over life itself, not just in the I control the world, but literally could have the ability to control life itself. Like on some Mach Sun Jin Woo status from Solo Leveling. Imu could be that radical. And Imu might be leaning more so on the feminine side, rather more on the masculine side. So let's say Mon Chéri Imu.
Lovely.
But nonetheless, when we continue our planetary themes, Imu would clearly represent the world of One Piece itself, the main world where most of the story takes place on. And when we look at the oh so important globe of the world, potentially of the solar system itself, and of course the Library of Ohara, in the Robin flashback, what do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 celestial bodies.
Ooh.
Kimochi. Now, of course, based on this globe, there are 6 main celestial bodies and 1 large planet that kind of surrounds them. And this would kind of, let's say, match the Vegapunk thing with the satellite bodies and the stellar body. However, one of these objects has its own moon, which makes it more likely that these aren't moons that surround the planet per se, but they are their own planets, and it is a geocentric model of the solar system. So right then and there's just so much going on, and there's so much to fathom, which is why I can't, let's say, get to all in one video. But there's a reason why you have in the latest Reverie that we did in IRL, hosted by Randy Troy on his channel, that this was like an 11-hour plus extravaganza about this one series, yo. And mind you, we still have to finish Egget Island. We have to get to Fullalet Island at some point in the future because Blackbeard's going insane. Then we have maybe God Valley. We have maybe Lodestar at some point. Laugh Tale, of course, Final War stuff. Void Century flashback, right? Moon Arc Oda, please. Moon Arc, please, Oda.
Please.
Before the foreseeable future, what is the arc that is really going to expand the series and endgame lore? It's the mini arc called Rate the Video. Subscribe to your boy's channel and click on that bell to join the notification squad. But the main arc is Elbaf. It's amazing how some folks had the audacity to make the statement that Elbaf was gonna be like a mini arc.
Nani?
We setting up crazy mad lad activity on Elbaf. And it's not just because of the saved books of Ohara that Saw is watching over, but in hindsight, it's looking back at moments that mention the sun god, for example, like at 867 during the Big Mom flashback, tying into the first time it was mentioned during the Norland flashback in 287 during Skypiea. And if you've watched Film Red, spoiler warning, Jafar, let him know, timestamp it when it's over, spoiler warning. You knew that the moment Uta started to sing Top Musica's namesake song to summon it, and you saw the Norse runes appear when she was singing that song. Big time flex for the Norse mythology in the One Piece lore, without a doubt. Spoilers over now, obviously. So Elbaf is a must. It's a must for the juicy One Piece content, that juicy One Piece lore. But I have to admit something. One thing that I did kind of purposely leave out in the last part of the video was that the Gorosei and Imu theme planet stuff, if you actually combine them together, the Gorosei plus ancient weapons and Imu, that makes 9. Not 8, 9. A little bit funky there. However, 9, when it comes to Norse, is kind of convenient here because 9 does match the 9 realms of Norse mythology. You can easily argue that the giants would view, let's say, the main planet as Midgard, since we do know that Heidruden, when he defeated Makvais, he proclaimed that the skies above were the lands of the gods, which does go hand in hand very nicely with Arthur's whole thing about calling the Gorosei not saints, but gods, and one is called Saturn, and Saturn is where? God wills it. So in a roundabout way, Heidruden is kind of correct here. And also, it's not just that. Since you have to remember, and it is hard to remember because this thing is hard to see at times. Sometimes you even need a magnifying glass to actually see it. But there is this thing that is on the planet called the Red Line. The Red Line, you could argue, from their perspective as giants, would be viewed as the legendary snake Jormungandr. I think I'm saying that right, Jormungandr. And of course, on top of this legendary snake that can wrap around the planet, quote, snake, Jormungandr, guess what? What? Is actually the home of the current gods, and in the past was the home of previous gods in the Lunarians. And in Norse themes, what does that mean?
Tell me.
Asgard. Asgard. Asgard would be on top of the Red Line, where ideally the Aesir would live. The Tenryubito would be the Norse version Aesirs. It is what it is. So are there places, planets even, right, where the giants refer to these places as, let's say, Vanaheim or Alfheim or Niflheim and so on and so forth. And a lot of these things, realms, were originally tied together by what? The Yggdrasil tree. And what do we see in chapter 866 behind one of the narrator's text bubbles? A massive, just absolutely titanic, this makes no damn sense structure. And we can go even further beyond and try and insert some of those old school kids' fables. Remember, the giant jack does need some explaining, because we saw in the Skypiea just a random beanstalk popping out of the clouds, just seemingly out of nowhere. How? Who? Where? Does that tie to the Yggdrasil tree itself? Part of the other path that Gonfall mentioned in chapter 238, the peak of High West, which west from where we are now would eventually lead them back to Skypiea. And we do know when Kaido and Uroge met up, and also during the time skip with Nami, that there are other sky islands, and you have to probably go island hopping from, but from where? That could all start on Elbaf. And notice how everything always goes back to Skypiea. Yeah? Everything always does go back to Skypiea. So look, I could do this all day. Like, for example, we talk about number 8 and number 9 in this video, but what about, for example, the number 7? How did 7 slide in there? Well, we get to see 7 celestial bodies that orbit the One Piece world based on the global Hara. And isn't that the same number of, let's say, indents in the wall that we see at Emu's crib? At Emu's crib in 906. And one of those indents lit up with what? The giant straw in the middle. 7 indents in the wall, 7 celestial bodies surrounding the main planet, Emu, the main planet, walking over to those 7 indents. What did Omni-Man tell Mark again? Think! And the number 9 just so happens to match the same number of Sea Kings that pulled up on the Noah Ark when Luffy was destroying it. 6 of them were actually pulling the Ark itself. 3 of them in chapter 648 were onlookers. But again, 6 of them did pull it. So that's a total again of 9 Sea Kings. And it just so happens that that same chapter is also titled The Road Towards the Sun with Wiper, his left arm out in front as the leader of God's guardians. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. So just like how I did a video last year focusing on specifically the number 16 and how that number is so important to the celestial dragons, we can play these games for a host of different things because Oda's world allows us to have so much creativity and fun with the themes, the lore, and the what ifs of the world itself. And by the way, celestial who now? What now? Celestial drag bodies. Gods. See what I did there? And I love it. I love it all, okay? So, the One Piece universe, I think, is once again amazing. And this could all mean nothing at the end of it all. But what I think should mean something for damn sure, without a doubt, is the sun. I get the feeling that the road towards the sun in many ways is not that far off. It's actually much closer than you think, and it once again involves Wiper. But I'm going to save that for another video, another day.